Hello and welcome to our first lesson in our second note packet. If you have me for class, we got a new note packet today, and we are going to start with lesson 1-6, which is use properties of integer exponents. We're going to take this lesson and we're going to divide it into a couple of parts. So today our focus is going to be on example 1 and example 2. Okay, we're going to start with something called the power of, or product of powers property. And so I'll zoom that in for you so you can see what I have written and what you should write. So product of powers property basically states that if you have two numbers that have the same base is going to be your big number at the bottom, but different exponents, what you can do, and they're multiplied together, is you can keep that same base and you add the exponents. So in general, you would write a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. That is a little bit difficult to understand. So in numbers, I did an example here. So if you have a base of 5 and the exponent is 3, and then that's multiplied by another base of 5 with an exponent of 8, what we can do is we can add those exponents. The reason why is because 5 to the third power, remember, is 5 being multiplied by itself 3 times. 5 to the 8th power would be 5 being multiplied by itself 8 times. And so in the end, if we were to write out 3 5s multiplied by itself and 8 5s multiplied by themselves, if we added them all up, we would literally have 11 5s being multiplied by themselves all at the same time. So the shortcut is our simplified version would be 5 to the 11th power. Okay, so in general, if you have the same base, you can add the exponents. All right, let's do an example. So we start with a story problem today, and it says the weight of a juvenile alligator is shown on the right. The adult alligator weighs about 2 to the 6th times more than the juvenile. How can you determine the weight of the adult alligator? And so if you can't see this all that well, this says 2 to the third pounds here. Okay, so maybe write that in. This is a little 3. So, all right, so 2 to the third power for that alligator. And that's the kid, the juvenile. So what we would do here is we would take our 2 to the third power. That's our young alligator. And it says that the adult alligator weighs about 2 to the 6th times more than that. So we multiply that by 2 to the 6th, and we try and figure this out. So since this is the same base of 2, what this really means, and I'm going to write it out because this is our notes, 2 to the third power looks like this. That means 2 times 2 times 2. Oops, let's move this up. 2 to the 6th power, I'm going to write over here. That means I would have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 again, 6 2's. And there's a time sign in the middle there. So if you were to add up all these 2's, 3 2's plus 6 2's, we would get 9 2's, right? So that would be 2 to the 9th power. This is the work if you were to write it out, but you can use the shortcut called product of powers property and literally just add 3 plus 6 and get 9, keeping your base of 2. That's your final answer. Okay, due to the time of the video, I'm going to leave the try it for you, and we're going to move on to the next property. So the next property in our lesson, let's see if I can get this underneath here, is called power of products property, okay? And so power of products is what do we do when our bases are different? So let's say you have a base of A and a base of B, but your exponent is the same this time, okay? What we are going to do is we're going to multiply our bases and keep the exponent the same. So for example, if you have 5 to the third times 6 to the third, notice the bases are different, exponents are the same. What you do is you multiply those bases, 5 times 6, and you keep your exponent the same, giving you 30 to the third power. Okay, so here's our example for this one. We've got find the volume in cubic inches of a cube with an edge length of 2 feet. So the volume is 2 to the third cubic feet, and 1 cubic foot is 12 to the third cubic inches. So what we would do here is take our 2 to the third, multiply it by 12 to the third, and so we have the same exponent but different bases now. So this time we multiply the bases, 2 times 12, and we get 24. And we can keep our exponent the same of 3. So we get 24 to the third power. Okay, so those are the two properties we're going to focus on today. But we want to add some extra examples because it didn't cover everything we're going to go over. So the extra examples we're going to add today are these. 3 squared times 3 to the fourth, and then 2x to the third times 4x to the fifth. Okay, so I wanted to add this example for two reasons. Number one, we now have 3 different bases in here, but they're all the same. So we can actually use the product of the powers property and keep our base of 3. So on our answer, our base is going to be 3 still, because they're all the same. But now we have to add the exponents of 3 spots. Now, we can see clearly that this exponent is 2 and this one is 4. However, this one is quote unquote missing an exponent. And so many people are going to think, oh, it's 0. It's not 0. If there's not an exponent present, there is a hidden 1 on there. So this is really 3 to the 1 power. So now when you add our exponents, we're going to add 2 plus 1 plus 4 for our new exponent, giving us our base of 3. 2 plus 1 would be 3 plus 4 more, giving us 3 to the 7th power for our final answer. Okay, good. That's one thing. Now, the second thing is a version of our power of products property, okay? So, something to remember is that when I have 2x to the third power, I really have 2 times x to the third power. And then if I have 4x to the fifth, now there's a times sign there, so I'm going to write that down. I really have 4 times x to the fifth power. Okay, so now what I've got here is I have a base number of 2, and what did we just talk about? There's a hidden 1 on here. We have a base of x and an exponent of 3. We have a base of 4. The hidden exponent would be 1. And I have another base of x to the fifth power. Okay, so I have two things going on. I actually am going to use both of the properties now. So these two are different bases and the same exponent. So I'm going to use the power of products property, and I'm going to multiply the two bases, 2 and 4, and keep the exponent of 1. So 2 times 4 is 8. And I'm going to keep that exponent of 1. That's our second property. So that's done. Now I have two bases that are the same, which is x. So I can keep that base, x, and I add the exponents on there of 3 and 5 to get an 8. Okay, and so now I've used both properties, and then what we're going to do is we're going to simplify that, because we all know that math people like to write things as short as possible. So 8 to the 1 power, you don't really need that 1 on there. You can leave it 8. You can actually take the times sign out and just put the x next to the 8, and then our exponent is 8, and this is our final answer. Okay, so our homework today in my class is going to be the Math 8 multiplying exponents 1 worksheet. And so we have 16 questions on there. And hopefully, if you need any help, you can email me or come and see me and I will help you out. Okay, have a great day. Talk to you soon.